Welcome back to Ready Set College. We're here today with the Director of College Counseling at Oaks Christian School, Mr. Jeff Morrow. Jeff, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
We are going to get back into this idea of religiosity, and it is a real word, I'm just saying, within colleges and universities, and how, as a student and as frankly as parents, you should be a little bit more cognizant of what these things really mean and how there are some huge differences in this sort of gradated scale. So we're going to run through this chart you just had on your screen in the last segment. We'll put it back up there for you. And Jeff, take it away. Let's go through these four sort
Sure.
of generalized areas and what they really mean.
And it's important to note, Rob, that as we start this, that these can be nuanced and you can add more. But I've kind of broken them down into four large chunks that are more easily digestible, I suppose, as you look at it that way. The first one would be religious affiliation. So let's talk about a historical affiliation with a church or specific religious group. And let's say that historical affiliation is critical in telling the story of the school, telling the history of the school. But the school has moved away from that specific tie to that church, meaning that it no longer plays a huge role in the school's mission, their strategic plan, their enrollment plan. And it's important to know that this includes the majority of colleges in the United States. That's like we talked about at the beginning, that started as religiously affiliated schools. So I don't know that you'll see an example there because there are so many. And if you're talking about, say, Princeton or Harvard, both start out religiously affiliated. Both started out more as seminaries to train preachers, ministers. And then if you look at more common examples or recent examples like SMU or TCU, that have moved away a little bit from either the Methodist Church or the Disciples of Christ. The second example would be historical affiliation with a church that is very important to the school's mission and plays a vital role in their strategic plan and even in the way that they admit students. However, it's not required. It's not required that you be from a specific church, or it's not required that you have any specific set of beliefs to go there. But you'll find indicators on that campus that it's important. The obvious ones being things like a cross on the campus, things like that. And it's important to know this is where the majority of, say, Catholic colleges fit. So no matter what order that they may be affiliated with, whether it's Dominican or Christian Brothers or Jesuit or Roman Catholic, that you'll find that you don't have to be affiliated with that specific church or movement to be able to be a student there, nor is it a place where you're going to feel incredibly uncomfortable if you are there. You'll find all kinds of students there for all kinds of reasons, some of them because of the mission, not typically in spite of the mission, but maybe not as the number one priority. The third type of school would be a self-selecting school. Now, what I mean by this, and we'll get into this a little later, but is that religion plays a huge role in the mission of the school and the admission of their incoming class, meaning that is something that they are looking for when they admit their class, when they read applications, when they look at recommendations and essays. It's a huge part of it. And while the religious mission of the school is huge, they may not have a specific denominational identification. So what they're looking for may be Christian students specifically, but you don't have to be affiliated with a specific denomination, right? Then the fourth one would be a self-selecting school with a denominational focus. So this is a school, just like number 3, that strongly identifies with their religious mission, that is looking for students who feel the same, that is, they require certain things in the application process, and they would prefer that you would be affiliated with that denomination. Very few schools are going to say you have to be, or you cannot be admitted, but it is obvious in the way that they admit students and what they're looking for that a denominational focus is important.
So just looking at this gray scale, if we will, because as you pointed out, you've selected 4 different opportunities to try to draw lines, but there's really many shades of gray in there.
Sure.
It's important for families to realize, you read University of Notre Dame. What does that really mean in terms of a level of religiosity versus a Texas Christian? They both have clear ties to a religion in their names, and everyone knows that, but we as families and even we as counselors don't necessarily dig deep enough into the culture of those organizations to truly understand them. And it's one of the great mistakes that we all make, to know that there's an opportunity as someone who is not terribly religious to look at a Jesuit school I would attend any of the ones in California. I would tell you that right
Sure,
now.
absolutely.
I'd be very comfortable there. Loyola Marymount University, University of San Francisco, Santa Clara is one of my favorite schools in the state. All Jesuit and very similar in nature, believe it or not.
Sure.
But you have to get to know this kind of religious culture within each organization and decide how much or how little exposure you want to a particular denomination. Or do you simply want to say, it's not worth going down that road. I'm going to choose this great public school over here that I know religious issues are not going to be part of it. Certainly an admission decision. And B, is only loosely tied to a culture based on clubs and organizations on campus. So we've got a lot more to discuss here. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back on Ready, Set, College to talk more religious colleges with Mr. Jeff Morrow. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.